Here's a fact: most Americans have a lot of stuff, rich people and poor people alike. And you know what? It's actually been normalized in our culture. Who doesn't have clutter somewhere in their home? So, the first thing to recognize is that something becomes acceptable when you see that a large portion of the population does the same thing. In movies and TV shows, we see garages, basements, and attics full of boxes and old things. It reassures us that this is normal. On top of that, our stores sell all kinds of containers to help us organize all our belongings. We not only spend money on stuff, but then we buy plastic containers and under-the-bed storage boxes to organize the various things we have, from clothes to memorabilia that we've collected over the years. Today, there are people who make a living from helping us learn how to declutter and organize what's left after that process. When I was a kid, I only knew about traditional career paths like being a nurse, a teacher, or a lawyer. I'd never heard of a professional organizer. But if there's a need, sure enough, someone will come up with a way to meet it and make money by doing so. Let me go back for a moment and talk about the influence of mainstream media. There's a reality TV show called Hoarders. I've never watched a full episode, but I've seen snippets. I think the harm of watching such a show is the viewer thinking, see, I'm not that bad. I don't have a problem, at least not like that hoarder. Then we continue to go about life in the midst of all the stuff still occupying our closets, drawers, and storage spaces. And there's another important point. The average middle-class American home has plenty of storage. We have relatively large living spaces, so that means we can accumulate many items and not have this impact our day-to-day living. There's often a place to keep everything, whether it's a storage closet or a so-called junk drawer. I can admit that I have quite a lot, but what I own is well organized. I learned good organization skills from my grandmother, who had collections galore, but everything was kept in order. One of my problems is that I don't know what to do with the stuff I inherited. I have my grandmother's stamp collection and coin collection, for example. I have her photo albums, as well as my own, that would take forever to scan, so I keep them on shelves around the house. So yes, those of us who are sentimental are more prone to hold on to things. Why am I still in possession of my bronzed baby shoes? Do I really need my international bottle collection with Pepsi and Coca-Cola written in different languages? No, but I haven't gotten to the point where I'm ready to let go of these items. Sentimental people are not the only ones guilty of accumulating material things, though. At least we sensitive folks can argue that we have emotional attachments to what we hold on to. Some people constantly accumulate things because they're compulsive shoppers. There are also those who aren't necessarily shopping addicts, but shopping is an activity for them. It makes them feel better. The things they buy might temporarily fill a void. It doesn't help that we're a society of consumers. Yes, the U.S. is a consumer society. As I mentioned, consuming goods makes some people feel better. Then there are the things that advertising teaches us to desire, and those things can be status symbols like a nice car, conveniences that make our life easier like a robot vacuum, or something that keeps us healthy like an air purifier. We're frequently exposed to messages about products others say we should buy. Part of the problem is that we can afford to buy these items, and so we do. We fall prey to discount sales, bargains, coupons, reward programs, and rebates. We justify our spending by saying things like, "Oh, but it was a really good deal." I admit I'm partly guilty of this. I bargain hunt and I use coupons. My grandmother taught me this. In all honesty, I take pride in the fact that I'm in the top 1% of savers in Massachusetts at my pharmacy of choice. I never buy things at full price there, and I try not to spend unnecessarily at the pharmacy. At other places, I can't say the same. For example, I like to buy secondhand clothing or discount clothing, and I admit I have more clothes than I need. It doesn't help that I've accepted gently used clothing from friends and relatives. I hate to see things go to waste. That's how I ended up with 3 fur coats and 3 fur hats. I inherited them. But I share what I have. When my good friend and I go out in the winter, I bring an extra fur coat for her, and we enjoy feeling toasty and stylish together. However, I'm proud to say that I do make an effort to declutter every year. In fact, this is another American tradition. When we finally realize we have too much, then we throw it out, donate it, or sell it. Donations beyond financial contributions are common in the U.S. In many communities, we have clothing and book donation boxes in highly visible places, and they're easy to access. They encourage us to donate items that can be of use to others. Local libraries sometimes accept book donations as well. Then there are the thrift stores. 2 popular ones are Goodwill and the Salvation Army. Especially on weekends, you'll see cars dropping off bags and boxes of used items that the stores can sell. The idea is that they offer various goods at low prices for people with little means. As charity organizations, they use money to help members of the community who are in need. If you donate quite a lot, like an expensive kitchen table and chairs or a bedroom set, you can get a tax deduction. That's a fairly good incentive to donate all your unwanted things. But there's an alternative to donating. Let's talk about the option of selling. We Americans love to sell our junk. There are apps that help us sell things online. I've done this a few times. We have many options offline as well. We have garage sales and yard sales in warmer weather. We have community flea markets where you may have to pay a small fee for a space, but then you can join other vendors to sell used goods. All these venues involve negotiation, but the goal is to unload all the stuff you no longer need. Garage sales and yard sales are common right before a family gets ready to sell their house. They know they need to declutter. And by the way, storage facilities are a big business in America. When you're between homes, you can rent a secure, climate-controlled storage unit and store your things until you're actually ready to move them into your new apartment or house. The units come in various sizes. The bigger, the more expensive. Sadly, these facilities make money not just from people in the middle of a move, but they also get business from people who don't want the clutter in their house, yet they aren't able to let go of it. Personally, I can attest to the fact that moving forces you to declutter. As stressful as the whole process of moving is, it's really healthy to shed so many unnecessary things when you move to a new home. I've moved to countless different apartments, and my family has moved 2 times in the past 15 years. I've gotten better at decluttering. It also gives me pleasure to find the right person I want to pass something along to, something very special. I have a young Russian friend, and when she became a mother, it was wonderful to be able to pass on Russian books and toys we no longer had need for. Recently, I reached out to a local theater group and offered old costumes. Why should they sit in a trunk if they can be used for a stage performance, right? I think the key is to know what you really need and what you don't. It's also helped me to take some self-development courses on improving my energy flow. I now understand that we have to make space for new things, better things to come into our lives. So decluttering is conducive to positive change. Have you ever studied the principles of feng shui? I find it very interesting, and I do think there's at least some truth to our physical environment affecting our energy and our mood. I'd suggest looking into it if your home doesn't bring you comfort, calm, and joy. Wouldn't it be amazing if all Americans had to take a course on home organization and learn some basics of feng shui? I think we'd see improvements in our society. But until that day, our stores will continue to sell us all kinds of organizers and storage options. People who can afford it will hire professional organizers, and we'll continue to hunt for bargains, and we'll maintain the cycle of accumulating, donating, selling, and tossing things out, and generally owning a lot of stuff. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on this topic. You can access the full transcript and download the PDF as a free member of my English with Jennifer community on Patreon. Visit my website to learn how to join, englishwithjennifer.com. Thanks for listening and happy studies.